I hate my wife's creepy hobby project. Okay, this sounds insane, but I swear my wife is totally normal otherwise, which makes this so strange to me. For context, we're both in our late 30s and live in a pretty typical suburban neighborhood where we all know each other. My wife has always loved trashy movies and shows about infidelities, and she eats up true crimes about spouses killing their cheating partners too. She just says something about it that makes her morbidly fascinated, in her words. Well, a couple of months back, we had a scandal in our neighborhood where a married couple in the neighborhood divorced because the husband cheated. No, there wasn't a murder or anything like that, but she became obsessed with learning every detail from every neighbor. No matter the occasion, be it a baby shower or cookout, she would bring it up hoping there would be any new information. A month later is when I stumbled on the board in her home office. I was doing some cleaning and I found a massive bulletin board facing away leaned up against the wall. Curiosity got the better of me, and I turned it around to find a literal conspiracy board of all our neighbors' pictures with lines of yarn connecting each other like the Pepe Sylvia meme. I was totally confused and asked where this was, and she told me it was a hobby she had started recently where she would track rumors or likely candidates for cheating on the board. The yarn represented who was possibly cheating with whom. She had clearly gotten all the images on Facebook or some social media and printed them out and even had a few sticky notes with details. I told her this was creepy and insane, and she said maybe if I was doing it as a man, but she is just having harmless fun as a hobby, and she wouldn't be crazy and try to oust anyone based on rumors, she just likes feeling like a detective. She told me to view it as a creative artwork. I was still super weirded out but let it go, or tried. I thought about it a lot. Well, every now and then I admit to checking the board when cleaning, but just a couple of days ago I looked to see that now I was on the board with a yarn attached to a neighbor's wife I am casual friends with. I asked her why she would add me if she thought I was cheating, and she said that was a different yarn color for potential matches for cheating. She said if it made me feel better she was planning on adding herself to the board soon. Well, I got pissed and kind of lost my temper about it. I told her to get rid of the board or our marriage would be in trouble. Things have been super rocky since. Sorry for the long post, I am starting to feel bad, and it hit me more than usual this morning. Should I apologize to her? And before you ask, no, I don't suspect her of cheating. Honestly, I wish she was because it would at least make more sense than this.
I refuse to attend a neighborhood party at my house. I'm a 17-year-old man. I still live with my dad. He and his wife moved to a new neighborhood recently, and they decided they wanted to throw a party to get to know the neighbors. I don't want to be because I know questions will come up about my family, and the last time I was put in that position, a couple of years ago, I was so pissed about them forcing me to attend a party with them that I brought up the fact my dad's wife hated my mum for years, longer than my parents knew each other and longer than she knew my dad, and how dad and her had an affair while my mum was dying from breast cancer. I was 9 when my mum died, and I found out about dad and his wife because he took her into the house when mum was near the end of her life and the two of them were fucking grossly together. My mum would never have given her blessing for that. She hated that woman just as much as that woman hated her. I have never forgiven my dad or looked at him in a positive light since. When mum died, I tried so hard to get put in foster care rather than live with them, but it didn't work. We ended up moving away a few weeks after mum died because of the judgment they faced back home. She tried to play the role of super mum to me, trying to be so involved in my life. But I never accepted her or gave her a chance. They talked about adoption but quickly scrapped that idea because they were told I would be spoken to since I was 10 before they got married. They have 2 kids together now and that didn't soften me to them. I don't blame the kids. But am I close to them? Nah. I make it a point to keep my distance because I won't stick around, and I won't want a relationship with them and to keep my dad and his wife in my life as an adult, even if only occasionally for my half-siblings. A relationship with my half-siblings is not important enough to have any contact with those two. After the incident of me telling people about the affair, I was grounded for so long, we had all kinds of therapy and I stuck to my word about hating them and finding them both disgusting. But my life was also miserable because I was grounded, had everything taken from me for weeks. I was offered a shorter sentence if I told her I loved her, but I wasn't going to lie, I couldn't say the words. So it was almost 9 weeks of hell. And they ended up being judged by some more people. So this time I refused to attend, and my dad is furious. He told me questions would be asked. I said if I'm there, questions will get answered, and I won't hold back on how I feel about them or what they did. He told me to let it go after 8 years and I told him that it never happened. I told him I don't want to pretend we're a family when the truth is I'm ashamed to be his son. He told me he still can't let those questions about why I'm not there get answered, and I'll upset my half-siblings by making this another fight. I told him I'd work, and he could say that, but he was still saying not good enough.
I refuse to pay for whole family's tickets to my children's birthday party? My wife and I were discussing the birthday party ideas we had for our girls who are turning 4 and 5. I suggested we have it at a local kids museum in our city. It's a great place and would be a killer time for everyone. We're a family of 5, myself, wife, son, and our 2 daughters. I looked up the prices, and it'd be roughly $250 for the 5 of us to go to the museum. That doesn't include the food for the party or anything else, just admission. TBH, that's a little more than I wanted to pay, but for my babies it is worth it. When I suggested it and as I was looking at ticket pricing, my wife said it'd be over $500 for us to prices to the museum for everyone, and I said, "Would no way. I'm looking right now, and it's $250. She proceeded to tell me that's for just us, but we needed to include the other guests and kids as well, meaning my 2 little brothers, my dad, his wife, my mother, my wife's mother and her sister and husband. I recoiled and said, well, I think they can get their own tickets if they'd like to come. I fully expected the extended family to come. I have no problem with that. I think they're all great and I have no problem with them. However, I don't think it's my responsibility to pay for their admission to the museum. Especially when we will be having a standard party at our home as well. This became an issue between us as she says she thinks I'm trying to leave people out. She really just means her side of the family, which I'm absolutely not, as I don't want to pay for anyone not under my roof. For context, my wife and I are middle class, but still not middle class enough to drop over $500 a day for everyone. We do make more money than her mother, sister and her husband, but none of them have any kids or responsibilities. It'd be much easier for them to buy their own single ticket than it would be for us to buy for everyone. It's basically we pay for ourselves and only ourselves, or we don't go. I think that's wrong and is taking away a good time for our family because other people outside our family don't want to pony up. I'm pretty ready to put my foot down and tell her they won't pay themselves, or they don't come, but I don't want to be a piece of shit either. It just seems like a lot to us, when it doesn't need to be. We are having a birthday party at our home for everyone, and they are not charging anything or asking for people to bring anything other than a present and themselves. I thought it'd be a nice thing for us to go to the museum as well, not really have a party there, but more so, enjoy an afternoon there and maybe some ice cream after. I was expecting to let everyone know, hey, party at our house, and we're going to the museum too if anybody wants to go with us. Therefore, I don't believe we should pay for everyone else. I'd like them to come, but it's okay if they don't, can't, etc. It's totally for our girls' family, not really everyone. My wife and I have had a discussion about it and have come to common ground. It was a great exercise for our relationship and I appreciate the opportunities when they come.
I refuse to let my mother-in-law see my son after she keeps trying to interfere in my marriage. I am currently pregnant with my 2nd child, and I have a 2-year-old son with my husband. My relationship with my mother-in-law has been rocky from the start, but things have gotten worse since my son was born. My mother-in-law never really liked me. She made it clear she thought her son could do better, even though my husband and I have been together for 4 years and are happy. From the beginning, she's always tried to make everything about her and my husband. She's constantly inviting him to dinners and events without including me, calling him multiple times a day, and making comments like, "No one will ever love you as much as I do." At first, I tried to be understanding. I know she's a single mom and my husband is her only child, but it's getting out of hand. Whenever she visits, she tries to undermine me in front of my son. She'll say things like, "Mommy doesn't know what she's doing," or try to take over when I'm parenting. Once, she even told my son that, "Grandma is the only one who really cares about you." When I told my husband about it, he was supportive but didn't want to confront her directly, thinking it would just make things worse. I felt like I was going crazy because every time I brought it up, my mother-in-law would deny everything or say I was being too sensitive. Recently, though, it hit a breaking point. We were at a family gathering, and my mother-in-law made a comment in front of everyone that she should just move in with us so she could help raise the kids, because I clearly need it. I was mortified and furious. My husband stood up for me, but she started crying and said I was trying to take her son away from her. After that, I decided I'd had enough. I told my husband that my mother-in-law isn't allowed to come over or see our son until she learns to respect me as his mother and his wife. My husband is at my side, but now my mother-in-law is telling everyone I'm keeping her away from her grandchild out of spite, and some of my husband's extended family have reached out to say I'm being unfair.